is part 3 of why Deontay Wilder easily outboxes Andy Ruiz Jr. Andy Ruiz Jr. needed to cut the ring off against Anthony Joshua. In that rematch, he needed to cut the ring off. Because when you're 6'2" and you have a 76-inch arm reach, and you're fighting a guy who's 6'6" and he has an 80-inch arm reach, and he's moving, and he's grooving, and he's using his legs against you. The only way you're going to have success against that guy is if you cut the ring off, right? You need to cut the ring off and bully him. Go to the body. Slow his legs down, right? But in order for you to be able to cut the ring off, you need to be able to use your legs to move forward, right? You got to walk down, right? You got to walk forward, Gennady Golovkin style. You got to walk forward, Mike Tyson style. You got to walk forward, Errol Spence Jr. style, right? That's how you fight a guy and beat a guy who's fought the way Anthony Joshua fought, right? You're fighting a guy who's moving. You have to go up in his grill and make it a rough fucking fight. But you notice how Andy Ruiz Jr. could not do that. You notice how the whole fight, he was just being outboxed. And you're sitting there, you're watching Andy Ruiz Jr. just losing round after round after round after round after fucking round. And you're scratching your head. And you're thinking to yourself, why the fuck is Andy Ruiz Jr. not making this into a dogfight? Why the fuck is he not cutting off the ring? Anthony Joshua is not even that good at, boxing, at using his footwork, at, fighting off the back foot. He's not no Tyson Fury. He's not no Alexander Usyk. So why is Andy Ruiz Jr. having so much fucking problems with a guy who's not even that good, His best feature is coming forward, Anthony Joshua. So he's not even naturally good at fighting off the back foot. Why is Andy Ruiz Jr. struggling so fucking much? You ask yourself that question. Why? Why is it so difficult for him? Because Andy Ruiz Jr. is not trained and is not good at cutting off the ring and walking an opponent down. You see, some fighters, they train a certain style, right? Some fighters, all they do is walk forward. All they do is eat punches. All they do is come forward with their head sticking up and just try to walk you down. That's all they know. But then you got other fighters who all they do is use their legs. All they do is move. And then you got other fighters like Andy Ruiz who all they do is counter, right? They spend the majority of learning and developing their boxing skills in the gym and sparring, countering guys. And that is what Andy Ruiz is. He's a guy who, he doesn't walk you down. That's not his best attribute, right? His best attribute is allowing you to come to him and then he could counter your ass. Kind of like Bermane Stiverne was also a counterpuncher in his prime. So this is why he was struggling so bad when Anthony Joshua was moving around the ring. This is why he looked terrible and he looked confused and he was like, what? He looked like he didn't know what to do. If you look at Andy Ruiz Jr. in that rematch, he looked like he had no idea what to do because he is not trained. That's not his best attribute, to walk a guy down. That's why he looks so confused, right? So this is why I'm so confident that if Deontay Wilder or any heavyweight decided to use their legs against Andy Ruiz Jr. and move and groove against him, they will have success because that's Andy Ruiz Jr.'s kryptonite, okay? And if Anthony Joshua could do that, I could totally see Deontay Wilder doing that and having major success. Because I don't think Andy Ruiz Jr. Because Andy Ruiz Jr. I know that Andy Ruiz Jr. doesn't have the foot speed to be able to cut the ring off fast enough. And that's not his style. You have to understand that. He's a counter puncher. This is why Wilder can beat